Hello and welcome to MindShifters Radio. Today is Monday, March the 9th, 2026. And today we are going to be introducing and covering part of Healing Generations One Breath at a Time. Thank you for joining us. Good to see you. Michael is almost finished at the post office. He just took a bunch of boxes and packages and things to ship off books, and we don't have them all packaged yet, but we've got a big part of them on their way to you all. So appreciate your support. So I'll talk for a few minutes until he gets here. He'll be right back, and then he'll start interviewing me. Joan, who's your friend there? You're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is my brother, David.
Hi, David. Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us.
Sure. He's been...
Hello, Sean. Good to see you.
Hello.
So what we're going to do is Michael's going to interview me, and we're going to start going through the book. Thank you all for your support. And this week through the 13th, I'll just give info. If you've not gotten the email that we sent out, Amazon, the way that they act is, of course, most people are buying the book directly from me right now and getting them signed. But the book's $19.99 plus $8 shipping. But if you go on Amazon and you can't get the physical book from them yet because they want to see the interest or whatever for a few weeks before they put the paper book out. So if you go out and buy the ebook, which is $9.99, and then give preferably a 5-star review and some comments, and then I will subtract the $9.99 off of the cost of the book. And most of you have already bought a book anyway, but that support is greatly appreciated to get Amazon to get the book up there. It's already out. I was really pleased to see that it's already out on Barnes & Noble and several of the other bookstores. It's even showing up, if you just Google search the title, it's actually showing up in like Australia and different places too. So it's already getting out there, which I'm thrilled with. And just to give some background information, which I'll read the first part of it today, which is called, it's a section, well, let me flip over there. A life remembered or imagined.
Just mailed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I told them that you were at the post office and mailing off a bunch of the packages. So I spent most of yesterday signing books, and Michael was helping me package them up, and we printed a custom label to go on the box. So that was exciting to get that done as well. We've had to order some more packaging material, the envelopes and things. And so anyway, it's been a busy weekend. It's been exciting seeing it all pop out there already, and appreciate your all support tremendously. And a couple people have already bought a whole case, which if you buy a case, it's $10 a book. There's 32 books in there. And anywhere in the U.S., they have told us it was, I believe it's $35.
$35.
Yeah, for anywhere in the United States to ship the box. So several people are talking about Andrea, is going to start a book club when she gets her package. And so we're excited about everything that's going on with it, and appreciate everybody being here today. But this started out, we did, I don't even remember what year it was. I want to say it was like 2015 or something like that. And we did an intensive, and the facility that we rented in Florida, we didn't learn till later that it was actually on a Native American burial ground. But we didn't know that till later. But during a still point session, there were several people that said that they had Native Americans asking if they could move through them, that they were stuck. But that night, and it was one of the times, we always tell people when you're doing still point breathing, you don't quit until you're finished. And it was one of those times where it was like there was just so much moving, and I didn't finish breathing. I got up and I was helping facilitate the other breathers and everything. But that night, it was like I went into a still point and had a vision. And if you asked me if I believe in past lives, I would say no, but it truly felt like it was me. And I was a Native American child, and I had been captured by white men or a white man. And he kept me in a cage and had a rope around my neck during the day when we walked and different things like that. And he abused me sexually, and he also used me for trade for like furs and things like that. And so it was when the next morning when Michael got up and I wasn't in bed, and he was like, "Where are you?" And I was laying on the floor beside the bed, and I had extreme pain in my hips and everything. And so he processed with me and did energy work on me, and helped me work through what I saw in the vision. Now, whether it was an ancestry, there's Native American in my lines somewhere in the back, probably in all of our lines. But anyway, we processed through it, and I went back into still point and went through some other sessions. And for years, my hips would hurt, and it was like, there's got to be something physically wrong with me. And I would try to not put energy on it. It's like, if you think about it, concentrate on it, you make it real. And so I was trying to avoid it, but it got so intense. I actually went and had my hips x-rayed to see what was going on. And they said there was nothing wrong with them, that everything was fine. But I had trouble walking and everything. And what it is when we hold energies within us, it will manifest physically. And it's sometimes hard for people to look at that and to realize, that you can handle the energy that's in there, and the physical will take care of itself in most cases. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, one of the things that I just remembered when you mentioned the rope around your neck is when that happened, you shared with me how your grandmother always saw you with a rope around your neck, and that you actually had a physical manifestation in the tissue around your neck of this ropey-like appearance. And that's gone since then. That had been there when I met you and was there. I don't even remember exactly when it left, but you just triggered that memory of that being part of that process.
Yeah, she always said that I had a goiter or something. And, Mom would have me checked, and they said there was nothing wrong. There was nothing there. And so it was all these things that were manifesting physically, but it was because I hadn't dealt with what was underlying it. And then fast forward to this lifetime, and I left home at 16 and got married and stayed in that marriage for 3 years. And a lot of the book is about the things that the distorted thoughts I had about myself. He physically, mentally, and emotionally abused me the whole 3 years. And it was like, the way we were raised, there was nobody in my family had ever gotten a divorce. Aunts, uncles, cousins, nobody. And so it's like, that's not something you do. And of course, part of my mind as a 16-year-old was, okay, if I admit that I was wrong, and here I told you so or whatever. And so a lot of different thoughts that kept me in that situation for 3 years.
And you were a good Baptist girl.
Right. And so I'm letting people in. Thank you.
Yeah. Terry Boeing will probably remember what year that intensive was. He was at it.
Yeah. Terry, what year were we on the Native American ground? You and David were there too.
Yeah. That would have been 2000. I think it was 2009.
Oh, okay. Further back than I was thinking even. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm almost sure, maybe 2010.
Yeah, it's been a while. And
Mhm.
so working through and finally facing, when I finally got out of the 3-year marriage, it was like, okay, I don't ever have to see him again. I don't have to deal with it. And I told nobody about it. In 2016, 2017, I let mom read one of the chapters only because it was part of our family history. This happened and then this happened. And I said, Mom, can you read it and see if I've got the timelines right and, that I'm accurate on this? Well, part of that chapter, I talk about not feeling like I was as loved as my older brother. And when she read it, she's like, yeah, you've got the timeline right, but I can't do anything about you not feeling loved. So it was like, no, I
Breathing
know
with
that,
you,
Mom.
sweetie.
I said, that was my own thoughts. I don't know if I'm going to get through this interview.
Yeah, you will. You will, sweetie. Everybody's breathing with you, and everybody's here to hold the space for you.
So this book is, I told Michael, of course, after that experience, I had told him then what happened in my first marriage. And he was the only one that I'd ever told. And the
And we
book,
did a lot of breathing.
yeah, um, the book is my memoir. And it's also, I never filed charges or anything like that. I could have, but it's my way of holding him accountable in a way. I call him by a different name in the book, but I go through all the different thought distortions that I had about myself. And then towards the end of the book, one of the later chapters, I actually do a wake up sheet on every one of those thoughts. So there's 15 wake up sheets in the back of the book, where you can walk through and you can see the hydra in it as well. I'd be doing a worksheet on one issue, but then there's 10 other issues come out of it. And so I covered that too. So I think that I've done that pretty well. And I'm so thankful. She's not on yet with us, but when we talked to the publisher, one of the things he said was, don't rush your editing. He said, get a beta reader to go through it with fresh eyes. And so Susan Bingham was very familiar with the work already. And she was a fantastic beta reader because she could see things, it'd be like, well, this information and the forgiveness work and the energy and all that. But somebody, that's not familiar with this work might read the book and go, what in the world are you talking about? And so she helped me to reword a lot of the book and get it to where a newbie could read it and understand it. And I'm thankful for her work on that. We worked for months going back and forth, chapter at a time, making changes. And but that was where the basis of this book came. I've been writing on it. Once I started writing it, it's been 9 years in the making. So it's exciting that it's out there. Whew. Andrea and I talked this morning.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. There's some trepidation about being, the exposure.
Mhm.
And part of the book contains some very graphic descriptors in it.
Mhm.
And but I feel like it's necessary part of the story to my leg just went into a cramp. Okay, what's that? So when Michael, I don't know if you're at a place
All
where you can,
processing.
yeah, if you can get a copy of the book here, I'll let you read the forward first, or the part that you wrote. The book is divided into basically 3 parts as far as the chapters go. And so the first part is 4 chapters of personal stories. The second part is some explanations, just for people that don't have the brain cells. We're getting an echo there, baby, if you can take it off hands-free. Like perception, the world we see comes from our mind. And are we conditioned to behave a certain way, and how our brains build our personality, and then the healing tools. So it's kind of an explanatory section of the book. And Susan Bingham just joined us. Susan, I just was talking about how we spent months going back and forth, and I'm so appreciative of your looking at the book with new eyes and directing me in different directions. And then the third part of the book is how I'm healing. And it has, healing the generations, to be aware. And then the chapter on breathe, forgive, let go, and cancel. That is the worksheets that I did on what came up in the first part. And then 5 measures, which was another still point session where I was actually told that I would expand in 5 measures and explained what those 5 measures would be. And so it's divided into several sections. And here's a book, Michael. Oh, okay. So I'll let him start and read. He wrote both the forward and the afterword in the book. And so I'll let him start by reading those, and then we'll go into the next. Okay, he said give him 1 minute. And then I've also included a lot of things towards the back of the book after the chapters that I hope people will also read, like the epilogue. And it's like, start out, okay, so what have I left out? And kind of draw it together. And then I also have a section in there that actually explains the cover of the book. I don't know if I can get the camera to.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. And it was like and that was actually the first part when I first started thinking about writing a book, that what I wanted the cover to look like. And I knew what I wanted on it, but I wasn't really sure why. It was just like, I wanted the Native American girls. I wanted the mountains. The Native Americans have what they call, I guess they're totems or whatever that they hold to. And so I wanted the Black Panther and the wolf on there because I felt like both of those were my totems. And so actually I'll read that section while Michael's getting ready. The front cover of this book tells a visual story. I knew what I wanted to represent the book, but I did not consciously know why. After the cover was complete, I began to look into Native lore and to find the meanings behind each segment of the picture, and I was amazed at how Spirit had guided me to the choices that I made. The Native American girls represent the story that's told in the introduction of the book, but they also point to our own generations and the Aboriginal beginnings that many of us share. A teepee divides the younger girl from the older one, and though they are both the same girl, they appear in a different time, showing that though we move through time and space, our past is always with us. How we perceive our lives forms the mold we use to create our world. A teepee is a temporary shelter from the elements. It has to be strong enough to endure and protect, and yet mobile enough to easily take down, put up, and carry. It represents more than a house. It represents home. Excuse me.
Breathing with you, sweetheart. Next layer of healing.
A place where family gathers and love is shared. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, just breathing with you, honey. And notice you've got all these people right here supporting you. Incidentally, the best audience we've had on the show for a while, which is pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Shows how much support and how much you're cherished. And all that love coming at you. Yeah, the next layer is going to come up to breathe through. And so we're here.
We can feel home anywhere, or we can be home. There is a difference. We are sojourners on earth, dwelling in many places, but often like the girls on the cover, many of us find ourselves outside the protection of the home. The mountains on the cover are celestial, representing love, clarity, and peace coming from the highest. They are abundance made manifest, though they are almost hidden from sight behind the darkness of the journey. They signify there is an abundance of love, clarity, and peace always coming from our very source, though at times we must look beyond our personal issues in order to see them. We must look with more than our physical eyes. High up, the mountain air is clear and cleaner and clearer, like the breath of the earth. We must learn to be breathed by the very breath of God. The horse stands for stamina and power that carries us through this great journey called life. The flowing mane is freedom and grace that we find along the way. The wolf has different meanings that represent different stages in most of our lives. One stage is a lack of trust, feeling threatened, and perceived need to survive. The other stage comes with time, its intellect, head knowledge, evolving into instinct and intuition, which is heart wisdom. Howling represents our standing firm, setting and defending our boundaries. The Black Panther represents the protection given us by our source, Creator God. It represents our internal courage and power over the darkness, our ability to overcome our fears, and our conviction that we can drop our defenses and live in trust. Both the wolf and the panther are Native American totems that symbolize an important truth for us as well. Though they're barely visible within the clouds of the picture, their presence is often not seen or sensed in real life. They are ever present, moving gently and gracefully before us like the Holy Spirit. A Course in Miracles, Lesson 20, Section 5, verses 35 through 36 reminds us, you may wonder how you can be at peace when while you are in time, there is so much that must be done before the way of peace is open. Perhaps this seems impossible to you, but ask yourself if it is possible that God would have a plan for your salvation that does not work once you accept his plan as the one function that you would fulfill. There will be nothing else the Holy Spirit will not arrange for you without your effort. He will go before you, making straight your path and leaving in your way no stones to trip on, no obstacles to bar your way. Nothing you need will be denied you. Not one seeming difficulty will fail to melt away before you reach it. You need take thought for nothing, careless of everything except the only purpose that you would fulfill. As that was given you, so will its fulfillment be. God's guarantee will hold against all obstacles, for it rests on certainty and not contingency. It rests on you, and what can be more certain than a son or daughter of God? The blackbirds or the ravens in flight, rising up out of the past into the light, are a reflection of our healing process. They symbolize recovery, rebirth, and the peace that passes all understanding that comes to us when we take our darkness up into the light. They represent a link between heaven and earth, messengers to and from God, and a change in consciousness that brings us soaring to new heights of understanding. They represent spiritual freedom, eternal life, the human soul, and they function as wise and intelligent guides. The bright flash in the sky is an opening through which rebirth can take place. It brings us spiritual illumination, wisdom, and strength from a higher source. It represents clarity of truth and awareness or insight that can be seen even in the darkest hour. The multiple streams of lightning that brighten the lower, darker parts of the cover stand for the light that's coming down from heaven to show us our own darkness. Lightning is sacred, holy, and a touch of God. It is our promise of resurrection out of our past darkness and into life more abundantly. Choosing for transformation is up to us. This will begin once we are willing to look upon our demons, inner darkness, and lies, and let go in order to accept his plan and move toward its fulfillment. Are you ready for this journey toward healing generations? Let's do it together, one breath at a time. Love and blessings, Jeanie. So that's the
Powerful,
cover.
sweetheart.
That's just the cover of the book.
And your willingness has been just profoundly amazing. And I think it would be good before I do as you requested and read the forward that perhaps we just open to see if anyone's got any thoughts to share with you.
Yeah.
I know you've got a lot of support out there. So you're going to a whole new level of vitality, whole new layer moving through this. So, and me too. So anyone have any thoughts to share with Jeanie? Hit your mic button and say hello.
I would love to share what I'm seeing. That, as we talk about the breath, bringing in the wisdom of, I can't remember your language for it, Ruka or Rukadakucha, and you're standing in that wisdom and form by bringing this out of expressing the human experience, the carbon base experience that moves into the wisdom, the being of the breath as the great mother. And it's really beautiful. I'm just like standing in deep honor and excited to witness this for you and with you, Jeanie.
Thank you.
Anyone else have a thought to share with Jeanie?
I would like to say to Jeanie, I just love your Southern accent and the delivery with your Southern accent, because I'm from the South, but I'm living in New Jersey, a totally different culture.
You know what? I was born in New Jersey.
Yeah, she's actually in New Jersey.
My dad was in the service, and so we were at Fort Monmouth, New Jersey, and I don't
Oh
think
my
that
God.
I think it's been closed now, but
Netflix, honey. It's now Netflix. And of course, I'm thinking of my time with Michael and all the learning that you talked about, and how much it's so much a part of my life. And I'm working on a memoir also. And what I really appreciate about you is that you've been able to really unleash everything that needs to be clean and cleared for you. And you're doing that for all of us. You see, you have the courage and also the discipline and the discernment to be able to make that available for people in a way that they can practically use it. That's really beautiful. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Jeanie. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Sean.
Hello. So, as I'm sure some of you realize or are aware, I tend to think about things like I'm from an alternate reality sometimes. So I offer something, a perspective, kind of like a hope and encouragement and things that I just don't have English words for. Your book that I've already ordered, and I do plan on doing an e-version and doing a review and all that. Your book, we understand about energetic patterns and generations and all these incredible things that we weren't taught in school, right? Here's a scenario. What if, it's a what if somebody gets a book, passes it on, it ends up in a bookstore somewhere, someone gets that book, reads it and understands it, and they're blessed with it, and they share information one day.
Breathing with you, Sean.
Yes.
What's moving for you?
Oh, incredible things. What if one day those who had perpetrated wickedness or evil on you in a past life, or others, similar things that have happened, whether they're male, female, doesn't make a difference, people, right?
Right.
What if one day that book helps to heal them and get them in that direction?
Yeah.
And so I just think about a path like that. My mind is an INTJ. It's a architect mind. So it'll instantly map out this big thing, and I'll see a path, which is neat sometimes to watch. And then other times, the wife comes up and says, "Oh no, something happened. We have to do this now." And now my whole day, I have to restructure my whole day. Such a terrible thing. But yes, I really see a scenario, because I'll go to bookstores and I'll look for old books and different things like that, and I'll say, wow, who used to have this book? Who made these memories? Who wrote these notes and these things? And I've taken a bunch of the Why Again books, and I've put them in Chick-fil-A in the little book stand. There's a couple book trades around town. I've put them around. None of them are there anymore, of course. They've been moving. And so hopefully similar with your book as well. And I think the point is to not stir things in other people, that they would relive their experiences, but that they would see a way back to actuality, to correcting their reality in healing. And then they heal others, and then others heal, and then we all return to God. So yeah, that's awesome that you're a part of that. That's really cool. That's all I wanted to share.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sweet. Anyone else have a thought to share with Jeanie?
Hey,
Atlin,
Jeanie,
go
this is Atlin. I wanted to say, with reading this book, and I didn't say it yesterday, that the title is spot on, One Breath at a Time, Healing Generations, One Breath at a Time. Because as I'm reading this book, and then even in different situations now, I'm remembering, oh my God, I'm not breathing. It's reminding me to breathe. So this book is very, very inspirational to me. So, and I'm really enjoying it. So thanks
Thank you.
again.
Thank you. Go ahead, Anita.
I don't think that my video is working this morning. Anyway, I just wanted to congratulate you and to thank you for your vulnerability, for your honesty, and for your bravery in bringing this forward in order to help so many others. And I'm so excited to start this book club that we're going to do with the book. So I'm really excited for it to come. And again, thank you. This is a really, really big deal. So excited for you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So when's the Netflix series and the movie going to kick off?
Well, actually, once there's another gentleman he's in our monthly breathing group, and he actually does mostly Hallmark movies. And so I'm hoping that once he's gotten his copies and read it and everything, it might kick an interest for him to lead us in that direction.
Wow, that's incredible.
Well, anyone else have a thought for Jeanie before we step into the reading of the forward.
I'm sure as we go, we'll have other questions and comments.
Yes, I suspect this is, I mean, when we did Wise, it's happening to me again. It took us a year to go through it, so we'll see what unfolds.
I know.
Yeah, Sean's doing the transcripts and things for that that year.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you'll remember that when Jeanie began her share, one of the things she said was, I had never told anyone until I met Michael, which meant she kept this to herself for over 30 years, over 3 decades living with this inside of her. And how many times in that 30 years, Jeanie, did you take the geographic cure, like move every 8 to 10 months?
Well, the first year after I got divorced, because I held such fear, I actually moved 10 times in 1 year. I mean, my parents, because they'd help me move every time I moved. And it was like, girl, you got to stay somewhere. But not really realizing I was taking it with me.
I just posted a statement. Is it coming through on the screen?
Yeah, I couldn't heal because I kept pretending I wasn't hurt. It's so
And
true.
that's what most people do. They've got a story, and they've always got another story. And if you start to, there's a really powerful scene in the movie. It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. It's a true story, and some people think that story is about Mr. Rogers, but it's not. It's actually about the man who worked for Esquire magazine and was asked to write a 400-word article on American heroes, and Mr. Rogers was his assignment, and he didn't want it. And his editor finally said, if you don't do it, you're fired. Mr. Rogers was the only person who would interview you. You've got such a bad reputation for being nasty. And there's an interesting scene. Here's a guy from Esquire who's, interviewing one of the most popular television personalities at the time in the country. Guy who testified before Congress. I mean, he's pretty big. And so he's in Mr. Rogers, sitting with him, starting his interview. And Mr. Rogers asks him about his life and what his hurts were. And after a significant resistance, the scene plays out in the movie fairly powerfully. This the writer from Esquire magazine actually gets up and walks out of the room. Well, Mr. Rogers is touching into things he doesn't want to look at. And the basic message that I get from that scene, and it's where most people live, don't make me look. I don't want to go there. I don't want to deal with this. And my offering is, if you can't acknowledge that there's something to heal, if you've always got another story to avoid, if you've always got another way of not dealing with it, then you're carrying something that need not be carried. And so the objective of this work is to gently bring into awareness the fact that we are, by nature, creative beings, and that as creators, we can free ourselves from the drama and the trauma of the generations. So that's where we want to go with this. And so as Jeanie's asked, I'll proceed and share the forward of the book. And we're going to, in the ensuing weeks, go through the whole process. So the forward, I titled it, A Deep Breath Before the Journey. Rarely does a book emerge that brings to light critical wisdom lost for 2 millennia. Wisdom that is deeply personal and yet carries the power to transform how we understand healing and human life itself. Jeanette Shaw's Healing Generations One Breath at a Time is one of those rare and timeless works. Written in a powerful, authentic woman's voice, this book delivers on its promise by making ancient healing technology available in a usable, practical form to both men and women suffering deep, seemingly unresolvable wounds. Poverty and suffering are contrary to the will of the Creator. Healing Generations illustrates how to break through the web of hidden family pain, patterns so normalized they usually go unnoticed. Hence, their designation as the unconscious, also known as Pandora's box. Psychiatrist Carl Jung brilliantly explains why these patterns must be addressed. Until the unconscious becomes conscious, it will direct our lives, and we will call it fate. When I met Jeanette Shaw, now Jeanie to me, over 22 years ago, she was a hardworking single mom who had endured extraordinarily difficult circumstances. At 16, she'd entered a marriage marked by severe physical, emotional, financial, and sexual abuse. In a second marriage, she faced and stood up to yet another form of destructive control. Jeanie still jokes about how when I first met her in person, after communicating online for several weeks, I not only invited her to take a tool that I use in my practice called the personal code evaluation, but I stuck around despite her dubious scores. For my part, I was drawn to Jeanie's inner and outer beauty, and to the fact that in the midst of long-held suffering, she had the courage and determination to open what many prefer to avoid, her own hidden Pandora's box. She courageously breathed into pain she had carried for years and engaged in the original Aramaic process of internal inquiry and forgiveness, the very work that some of Jesus' disciples resisted, grumbling, too hard a saying, who can hear it? And that group of disciples, by the way, if you go back and check, they left. It says they walked with him no more. They disappeared. No, don't make me look. As Jeanie's work unfolded, its impact was unmistakable. Even her mother, who after more than 80 years of carrying emotional abandonment wounds herself, joined Jeanie in using the forgiveness tools and worked through many of her own issues. For decades, I've taught that trauma is not erased by time, but simply buried, only to surface at the most inopportune moments. Unresolved distress and torment linger in the body, mind, and nervous system, eventually manifesting as physical, emotional, relational, and often financial disease. Much of this suffering is silently, sometimes violently passed from one generation to the next. By applying the actual first-century tool of Aramaic forgiveness with relentless honesty, Jeanie demonstrates that real gut-level pain can be faced and resolved. Jeanie's writing is raw, transparent, and at times challenging to read. Abuse is not a polite subject, and deep wounds are not easily faced, especially if one is still holding unresolved pain. She writes not to shock, but to demonstrate that liberation from anything is possible. She lights a path for those who still suffer in silence, mistakenly believing nothing can be done. This book is not theory, it is instruction. It is practice. It is lived experience. If pain has taught you to forget who you truly are, this work offers profound support in reclaiming love, your full human life. If you're ready for a definitive break from the past, open your heart to Jeanie's revelation and allow the current of genuine healing, your birthright, to move through you. Will you be challenged in the process? Absolutely. And the life you've always deserved, is waiting to be ignited by learning to live again as the aliveness trauma tried to steal from you. In addition to benefiting from Jeanie's experiences and the tools of Aramaic forgiveness, you're invited to join us free of charge for personal support on our MindShifters radio show, which airs Mondays to Fridays. And there's a link there. Let Jeanie Shaw Healing Generations one breath at a time serve as a deep invitation for you to remember who you are. Reclaim and honor your inner knowing and experience, one breath at a time, and return to your full capacity for joy. We are here for you. Take Jeanie's hand and walk through the process with her. The burden you've been carrying ends here. Your better life begins now. So Jeanie, congratulations on the genius, the willingness, and the breath you put into this, and the way you embrace your world and everyone in it, including me, thank God, in the presence of your true being. I appreciate you.
You. So then the preface. At one point in my life, I worked for a pharmaceutical company where penicillin was produced to help people get beyond whatever infectious issue they had going on in their body. This was a good thing when used appropriately, and it did appear to be working well. However, I later learned that drugs could never heal at the cause level. Penicillin simply handled the effects or symptoms. At that time, I was introduced to the concept that our mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, and genetic components are all woven together like threads in a fabric. What impacts one area will impact and manifest in all. And to find ultimate healing, one must address the whole being. We are energetic creatures more than mere physical ones. I acquired many tools with which to go inside myself and remove old beliefs, thoughts, feelings, and experiences that held me captive in life. These tools continue to move me closer toward being free. My process of healing soon led me face to face with some of my inner demons. One of the biggest issues for me was past sexual abuse. I had been successful in pushing painful events down into my unconscious and pretending they had not happened. I felt shame, guilt, embarrassment, and I eventually built up a great mistrust of others and an obsessive need to control everything around me in order to feel safe. My experiences with their attached fears and angers still impacted me years later. The belief that I was less than resulted in my repeatedly getting into unhealthy relationships. Once Dr. Michael Ryce led me to question why these things kept happening. I made the commitment to use his Aramaic tools of forgiveness toward healing. Once on this path, I never looked back, even though my healing involved revealing many things about myself that I had heretofore kept secret. Yes, I knew part of my healing would involve exposure. In 2010, I pursued a degree in psychology, thinking that it would add credibility to my work with others. Though the skills I had already developed were greatly amplified by my new knowledge, I realized I had credibility already. I just needed to remove my shame-based blocks and step out. I began with one-on-one sessions, teaching and supporting others how to lovingly go beyond their comfort zones and begin to change their lives. I met many women who had had similarly intense experiences and were seeking answers. Consequently, I began facilitating residential intensive programs and retreats called Healing the Whole Woman or Women Healing Women. Then I asked myself, how many more women in this world are in situations similar to mine and yet do not know that there's a way out? I had found answers, and I wanted to share the knowledge in a more comprehensive way. Thus, this book began to take shape. It addresses the many dimensions of the self, psychological, spiritual, physical, and genetic, all exemplified by my life story. I hope you are blessed by what you read. Anybody have anything before I go to the next little section? Before you begin, this book is not meant to be read the way most books are read. It's not a set of ideas to debate or a belief system to adopt. It's an invitation into experience, into awareness, honesty, and the living presence of the breath. As you read, you may notice moments of recognition, resistance, emotion, or relief. Nothing has gone wrong. These responses simply signal that something within you is being touched. When this happens, pause. Take a gentle, conscious breath. Let the breath move freely without forcing or controlling it. This work unfolds most effectively when you slow down and stay present with what arises rather than pushing forward to get through the material. Healing does not happen through effort or analysis alone, but through awareness and the removal of interference. You are not being asked to blame yourself or anyone else. Nothing here assumes that you are broken, deficient, or lacking. You are whole. The pain you carry is not who you are. It is learned, inherited, or absorbed experience stored in the body and the nervous system, and it can be released. The forgiveness taught in this book is not about pardoning others, excusing harm, or forcing reconciliation. It's an internal process of removing what blocks the flow of love and breath within you. You are not required to approve of what happened to you in order to heal from it. The breath is central to this work. When strong emotion, memory, or resistance arises, return to conscious breathing. Trauma dissolves not through force, but through exposure to awareness and the free movement of the breath. You do not need to believe anything in this book for it to work. Let your own experience be your guide. Move at your own pace. Take intermissions when needed. Healing unfolds best in safety. Above all, remember this: you are whole. Nothing here is about becoming someone new. This work is about remembering who you've always been. Read one page at a time, one breath at a time. A beginning breath. In this breath, all beginnings are renewed. In this moment, love remembers itself. May the generations within us awaken to healing, one breath at a time. Go ahead, Regina.
Now, I would like to say that sleep apnea, which I have, and I do a lot of breathing throughout the day. I'm breathing all the time, consciously, intentionally. I'm not doing still point per se, but I'm realizing that the breathing that I am doing is definitely making a difference in my apnea. And I use a BiPAP. And I think this is a marvelous opportunity at my age, even, especially, that I can start doing what you're doing, going back to Michael's work. So that's really motivating me to actually do what needs to be done, no matter what age. And I know it will work. I'm very sure it will work. So just think of the number of people with sleep apnea. There's a very good sign of what the problem is. Yeah.
Breathing with you.
Go ahead, Michael, your hand's up.
Yeah, seeing as how we've got some folks that haven't been around the show a lot lately, when you talk about conscious breathing, I just want to plug in from the Aramaic sense. In the Aramaic language, in the creation story, where it speaks of the Creator breathed into the nostrils of the dust, that Adam, Adamos, the red clay, the breath of life. And in Aramaic, what it says there is not man became a living soul, but man became a speaking, thinking being. And in Aramaic, there are 3 levels of breath, and we can go our whole lives without ever breathing and touching into what the Aramaic refers to as Ruka de Kudsha, the elemental force, the breath, that undoes the effects of our errors and teaches us the truth. So everything breathes: the cat, the dog, the chicken, the frog. And if we're just breathing with no awareness, that's one level of breath. There's a second type of breath that's referred to, and that's a breath that's accompanied by mental and emotional incoherence. It's the kind of breath that keeps us in trauma. And it's the kind of breath that leads people, whenever things are moving that they don't want to deal with, to cut off awareness of what they don't want to deal with by locking down and holding the breath. And then there's this third level, conscious breath, that is purposely, consciously taken with awareness of holding the intention and the motion toward love. And that this brings in, again, Ruka Dekudsha, and that Dekudsha part of the term, Ruka refers to elemental forces. And the root of the word kudsha is the Hebrew word kosher, which means that which is proper. So there's a particular breath that delivers intelligence into the clay body that we inhabit. The body itself has no intelligence. And so what Jeanie's inviting you to do is to develop what may perhaps be a new habit, and that is to consciously, purposely, with awareness, focus into love. Many have done an intensive think about the love exchange experience. Focus into that love exchange experience and consciously, purposely breathe there. That's what moves us in the direction of bringing in this, what I'm referring to now as the Dekudsha factor. And sometimes when we talk about still point breathing, it takes sometimes 20 or 30 minutes of continuous, conscious, love-based breathing before that Dekudsha factor kicks in. But when it kicks in, that's when the transmutation of old trauma at its root begins to happen. That's where the deepest levels of healing happen. So one breath at a time, string those breaths together in a connected way and stay conscious of the presence of love that you are. And everything goes to the next level.
So we only have a few minutes. We don't have time to go into the introductory chapter, but I'll read the back of the book. Healing Generations is nonfiction presenting the truths of how our mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical aspects are all tied together. What impacts one impacts the others. Our realities are genetically inherited and then amplified by our belief systems, our culture, and our social environment. The self-healing process will include the choice to go into our past, no matter how dark it may be, to release the lies, live in the present, and move forward, instead of the decision to stay status quo. It will take effort and willingness, but without the internal change, one will wonder why life isn't as they say they want it to be, and why it continues to repeat the untoward past. While the experiences I share are factually accurate, the associations about life, others, and who I truly am were formed out of the events and not necessarily based in truth. Thus, some of the content is absolutely fiction made up by my own perceptual reality of what has happened in my life. The subtitle, One Breath at a Time, is exactly how we will be released from our demons. This journey towards self-healing, this undoing, is a process that doesn't happen overnight. But we are not alone on this pathway to healing. If we remove the blinders of our own hostility and fear, we will see others walking the same path beside us. Together we will make it. The question is, will you come with me? So, if you'll rejoin us again tomorrow, we will continue. Does anybody have any questions or comments? No? Well, then, we'll just say thank you for joining us. Thank you for your support. Thank you for holding the space.
Yeah, let me just throw in the thought, sweetie, and maybe you've got the link handy that you can put in. But if anyone is planning to order the book between now and Friday, if you would go to Amazon.com and order the ebook on Amazon and then do a review of it, send the review to Jeanie. If you're planning, and so she just put the link and you can copy it, that will take you straight to the ebook. It's a little funky to find if you just search for it. But if you do a review, and the book is $9.95, if you do that, then send Jeanie an email with a copy of your review. And then, and this is if you're planning to order the physical book. What Jeanie will do is take the $9.95 that you paid Amazon off of the cost of the book. So the book's $19.95 and $8 shipping. So she'll take the $9.95 off. And so
99.
you'll have $9.99. Okay. But she'll take that $9.99 off. So the net effect will be that you'll have the book delivered to you for $18 and it will be inscribed by Jeanie. So just so you're aware of that. And if you would do that between now and Friday, that will help to build the logarithm on Amazon so that her book gets greater and greater views when people search for keywords related to it. So it would be awesome if everybody would assist us with that.
You're appreciated.